everybody. All right, so we're going to do a little quick introduction video in terms of what we're going to do with this lesson and just to talk about a few things that are going on with the course right now. So this will be distance learning assignment number 2. You can find that at the bottom of the table of contents on the left, all the way down, okay? So what we're going to do is talk about a few different things. We're going to mostly be working inside BandLab now because that's the device that, or the program rather, that's going to run on the most number of devices that you guys out there have, okay? Run on a phone, an iPad, a computer, all those different things, where AudioTool won't be as easy to work with, and neither will Reaper, some of the other options that exist out there. So we're going to talk about learning how to do a couple of simple things. We're going to learn how to manipulate some loops. Okay, we're going to learn how to use different effects, some ones that we've already talked about a little bit. Okay, but you might hear the rain falling on the roof now, but anyway, we're going to keep working. So we're going to manipulate loops, we're going to slice them and dice them, we're going to add some reverb and some delay, and yes, I understand we've covered this stuff, but there's always more to learn and some nuance to learn about some of those different things. And this is something lightweight, hopefully, for us to all kind of get our fingers into, get comfortable with, so we can get comfortable with submitting some work online and using this program, because it's really going to be the easiest thing for us to use to work with going forward. Okay, so I know that's not going to make everybody as happy as possible, but unfortunately, we're doing the best we can in kind of a weird circumstance. Thank you to those of you that submitted the reflection. Some really good stuff there. It's nice to hear from you guys and see how you're feeling. I'm missing my friends too. Okay, all right, so what we're going to do is produce a short song, use the different techniques that we look at today, all right, and then you're going to try to put together a 32-bar song that incorporates those different techniques. So this first video will just be, here are where things are, here's how to find them within BandLab, and we'll quickly go through an outline of the assignment, and then later on I'll produce a video of me actually going through and doing the work for you, okay, to show you exactly what you can do. All right, so you'll be doing your own version of it, but you can kind of follow along with what I'm doing. And there's some useful information provided in the tutorials already, okay? All right, so let's start off here with the links that I provided. If you click on them, they will pop up inside of the browser, or you can open them in a new tab, which is what I would recommend, okay? When you do that, it will look like this. So, Slice Up Your Life, 5 ways to manipulate loops and make them your own. So that's what's really interesting about loops and samples that got used in hip hop, is the way that they kind of became famous is that people took them and made them their own. They didn't just take a sample from a song and play it exactly the way it is in the song in every case. They cut it up and made it interesting and unique for their song, okay? So there's over 5,000 free loops available to you on their website, which is awesome. Another reason why this is valuable, and AudioTool kind of lacks a little bit in some of the available loops. But there are some other things about AudioTool that are fantastic. So we'll go on. We're going to learn about different techniques with what you can do to audio. So we're going to talk about 5 quick edits you can do to your loops, and you're going to apply those to your own. So I'm less concerned about you creating a beautiful song, but more seeing, like, can you do these different techniques, and can I hear them in your project? Okay? All right, so first one we're going to talk about is slice. Okay, slice is exactly what it sounds like. You take a waveform or audio, in this case this is what audio looks like, and you cut it up. Drums are really neat because it's pretty clear where the beat is in each example in a waveform of a drum part. So bass drum is clear, and these are some other parts, snare, bass, toms, other bits and bobs. Okay, so what we're going to do is take a loop from the browser, and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to drop it into our window here and start slicing it. So you can put the cursor where you want to slice on the beat and press S on your keyboard, or right click and select slice, okay, and you'll be able to chop up that bit, okay. So it says chop at different points along the timeline to make a new sound out of the loop. Add some delay, all right, we're going to talk about effects, to fill the gaps that you've chopped up and give the sound a completely different texture, okay, so that's going to sound pretty cool. Next thing we're going to talk about going down is reverse. So it says popularized by electronic music producers using reverse on the last kick in a loop will add texture and variety to your sound. Drop in a kick loop and slice the loop just before the last beat. Right click and reverse the last beat. Chop and reverse kick up chop the reverse kick up again and add it in more times, a bit of variation of kicks throughout your track. Or more simply, you could just reverse the entire loop and it has a kind of cool effect on its own, okay? So stutter is going to be where you're taking a section of the last beat or a beat within and repeating it, okay? Almost like if someone was speaking and they were getting hung up on one syllable and repeating it like a stutter, that's what it would sound like, okay? So it's going to show you here, and I'll explain it a little bit more in a future video that's coming soon. So you want to get on there and try experimenting with this on your own. Okay. Next is pan. Pan's already something you should be really familiar with. That's moving audio from the right to the left or keeping it in the middle. Okay. Panorama. Pan is short for panorama. So if you're looking to add some texture and width, you can try duplicating a track. That means taking 2 copies of the same track and putting it on different tracks, and then panning them to the left and to the right. Okay, so it removes the content from the center and spreads it way out to the sides to give you a wide effect. All right, and below that is repitch. So it's a processing technique that takes a piece of audio and changes its pitch, either raising it up, lowering it down, stretching it out so it plays over more time, or shortening it up so it plays over less time. Okay, there's lots of different ways you can change and manipulate. Okay, so you don't have to just use drum parts for these. You can experiment with some of the other loops. Okay, all right. So your job is to read through this article on your own while you try it. Okay, next, go back to the hub, another one, open in a new tab, and then you have reverb. All right, so you're gonna get a little article about reverb. We've talked about it before, talks about the sound of the space in which you're in. I'm sure that you can actually probably hear the especially if I talk over this way, the kind of boxiness of the reverb of the space that I'm in right now, okay? So each room has its own kind of sound, and you can use software and processing to manipulate that sound or make it sound like you're in places that you're not, okay? We've used it a lot. The reverb bomb here is pretty straightforward. It's got some tools down here in terms of what you can do to fine tune the reverb. So you're going to read through this article and try to apply what it says. There's some useful animations here showing you what to do. The reason I'm not going through this all myself is because they've already done a great job of explaining this all to you. All right, so you're going to read through this article as well and try applying some of these techniques and alterations and connections to your work. Okay, so last one, same idea as the others, and this one is going to be about delay. All right, so what is delay? Another word for an echo, using delay, etc. Okay, and then the ways that you can fine tune and tweak. Here we go. So your job will be to read through this as well. All right, so once you've read through all of those things, you should see a little tab up here, Explore BandLab. Takes you to their webpage. I've already logged in. Takes me to, I can click Create here. Okay. Oh, that's already been opened in another tab. I'll close that one down. Okay. Going to create. So we're going to create a new project here. All right. And you're going to open Browse Loops down here. And there is your loop browser, of which there are a ton. All right. You're going to pick one. Millennial Grunge. That sounds like me. No loops found. That's disappointing. So you can select genre here. And if there's a genre that you're interested in, you can select from there. Okay. So when they pop up, you can click on them. Whoa. You can hear my house rattling. There's so much bass in that one. All right, so we're gonna pick something a little bit different. Perfect. I'm gonna drag that loop into my browser, and there it is. If I go back to the start here, so transport controls are here, reverse to the start, play, fast forward to the end, start recording, your timeline, okay? The BPM or speed of your track, time signature, which will probably stay in 404, okay? And then if I press play, there it is. I've got my drum beat. Now, if I want to zoom in, I'm gonna close my browser here. I'm gonna zoom in this way, and I'm gonna go down here and scroll to the left so I can see my part. Now it seems to have moved, so I'm going to make sure it's up against the left edge here. So if I start it again, it starts right away. Now, let's repeat it. Drag it to here. So now it's playing twice. And that second one is a copy of the first one. All right, it's just an alias of it. So we can go in here, you can double click on it and look at it if you want to edit it that way, or you can just do it on here. If you move your cursor to each of these points along the timeline, so 1.2 is beat 2 of the first bar, beat 3, beat 4, you can go to it and click S on each beat. Okay, that's one way of doing it. You can try that. All right, so I've gone through, and you have to make sure you've highlighted the one you want to chop, and I can cut this up into slices. So if I play it again, you don't hear the slices. But if you take them out, it's pretty obvious. So, okay. Now, on its own, that sounds a little bit odd, to be sure. But we can go in and add something like an effect here. That's not the one I wanted. Sorry. I don't want to use a preset. I'm going to add effect. I'm going to select delay. Delay. All right, so I'm going to play it again. Now I can change the time and the feedback, which is how much it plays, how many times it repeats, and how much of the effect is there or not. Okay. All right, and you can spend a little bit of time kind of dialing in. All right, so you can get a kind of a neat effect out of it that way. All right, so that's one way of using an effect to kind of alter your sliced up loop. All right, so the other techniques you're going to use, reverse, etc. So we can go back, we can close this, go back into loops, grab another loop to experiment with. Remember, there's tons of them, and you can search through them here. Remember, look for drums. It might be the easiest. Start with beats. You may find more useful stuff that way. All right. Click on them to audition. And double click to add it to your project. There we go. Okay, so we have two loops kind of playing together. You can right click on it and see some of the options here. You can analyze. You can stretch it to raise the pitch or lower the pitch or speed it up or slow it down or reverse. So it'll process the whole thing, and then here we go. Okay, so some of the different techniques. Excuse me, I'll go through and make another video kind of going more in depth with a few of the other techniques, but I think this is long enough to start to get you rolling in here. So you're going to be stacking your different loops here. You want to use 5 different techniques. You do not need to use 5 loops playing at the same time, but you do need to use 5 different sounding loops, okay? And it should be 32 bars long. So repeat sections, it doesn't need to change every bar. It can groove on the same thing for 8 bars before there's a change. It's kind of up to you to sort of shape the song the way that you'd like to use it. You're not really limited if you want to add other instruments to this that aren't just loops. You can feel free to do that if you want to expand the project a little bit. But the basics are trying to get some loops in here, provide some alteration to them, okay, and then send them back to me. One thing I want you to do, though, take notes on what changes you're making so that you can say to me what techniques you've used, okay, so I can listen for them when I'm listening to your projects, okay? All right, so we're going to stop that one for now. I'll load it up, and then we'll keep working forward. Thanks a lot.